In career, it helped me in emergency room, for example, because I came back and I established a small emergency room, not on the magnitude of the Chapman thing in Baltimore, but on the same principles. And we raised the level of the standard of caring for the people in Jordan here. I mean, it was so good. Even Queen Noor at that time came and inaugurated the emergency room. It ran exactly like the Baltimore thing, but you know, this is transferring of knowledge from one place to another place. It could not have happened if I did not go to the Eisenhower Fellowship. I went to a lot of media things and television and broadcasting, and I saw how listening is much more important than talking. And you should talk to rather than talk at people. And nodding your head doesn't mean that you agree. Sometimes nodding your head means that you are encouraging the person to say more of what the other doesn't want to hear, so that he knows your opinion. I love movies and things, so you know, Hollywood and Los Angeles had a part. I love Hispanic history, so I stayed in San Francisco and Los Angeles for some longer time than what I should, because I like the Bay Area, the wharves in San Francisco, and the very liberal attitude of San Francisco. It is a most stunning city, especially if you go out of it to the city called Sausalito, where the famous people live in fantastic houses on cliffs and things. It wasn't the richness that attracted me, it's just the atmosphere, because if you drive a little out of it, you will see the redwood things there, which is also a magnificent thing. So San Francisco just made me love water, green, and the scenery. So at that time I had a little intention of doing photography, but after this, after I see San Francisco and the areas around it, I just got into photography. I wouldn't have changed it. Maybe I should have gone to one of the big parks, you know, Yosemite, this and that. But because of my craving for history and, you know, this, I went more towards the Alamo thing. I went as far as down to San Antonio. San Antonio is one of those cities which is Spanish culture dug into the US, and I love the river which is just underneath, and the cafes and things. It's just a fascinating place. Maybe you know, I wouldn't have gone to cities like Dallas or Houston or this, because to me they are replicas of one another. I needed cities that has a soul, that has a taste. Chicago may be windy, cold, this and that, but if you go to the waterfront, Chicago is really fantastic. New York and Manhattan and around the statue and going in a boat, I think it's really, and the village, visiting the village there, and all the theater, all the music, Broadway, this is nice. I would have stayed longer in New York, perhaps. But I would have gone to one of those parks, and if time allowed, I would have camped in one of those areas, because some of them are really fascinating. Well, what struck me also is Arlington Cemetery, because there you could see one aspect of the life of the Americans, which is, this is a country and we have no problem in giving the utmost to try to protect it, and this is dying for it. And then having them and look at the rows and rows and rows of stones with the names on them just gives you how much people have paid for this country to be what it